This program is sponsored in part by the National Catholic Society of Foresters. Hello again, I'm Jim Grant, and it's my pleasure to be introducing you or welcoming you back to Looking at Social Justice. We've already done 20 of these shows, and they've been really, for me, a pleasure meeting friends, making new friends, and talking somewhat about social justice in one of its many aspects. Some of the guests I've known very well, some of them were new to me, but today I have the joy of having, I think, our youngest guest to date, and someone I know back for quite a few years. He'll have to remind me, when you get old, you forget how long you know people and how well you should remember their names. It's Edgar Guzmán, who happens to be in his second time back at the St. Paul Catholic Newman Center, this time as our college ministry director. Edgar has been serving with us in many different capacities, but I think I'd like him right now to tell us something about himself, maybe something, Edgar, I don't even know. So let's begin with a little bit of a bio. Tell us about being at Fresno Pacific, why you chose that school, and what you've done after graduating from FPU, how you've decided to commit to youth, young adult, campus ministry, and why the Newman Center is once again your home. So you've got a 30-minute chance. Tell us something about yourself, Edgar.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Jim. Thank you very much. I had the pleasure to be here. And thank you also for all the work you do for the Diocese of Fresno. And on behalf of not just me, there's plenty of other people who notice all your work and everything that you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Edgar.
Yes, this is my second round with the Newman Center. I'm happy to be back. And the second time is, I knew what I'm getting myself into in church ministry, if you will. But I'm very excited to be back. Yes. You know, something that off the top of my head that many people don't know, I'm engaged. Engaged to Amanda Romero, my fiance, since October. We've been together since 3 years, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I know maybe everybody says, well, this young man is still engaged and doesn't know the married life yet. And well, you know, we're both looking forward to it, and we are as prepared as we believe we can be.
Super.
I graduated from Fresno Pacific, like you said, kind of by default. That was not my first school. I was planning on attending Fresno State. I'm from the great town of Porterville, California,
Beautiful
South
city.
Diocese. And I came up here to study music through Fresno City. And I've done the whole round of academic institutions. Started at Fresno City, went to what is now known as Clovis Community there. And I was ready to transfer to Fresno State. But due to a state government shutdown, the CSUs weren't taking any admissions at the time, and they couldn't tell me if yes or no I would attend Fresno State. So I was going to Fresno Pacific because of my younger sister Karina. She was already attending there. She said, might as well look into it, and I did, and I thank God that I did. It's because
great school.
It is a great school. One of the best instructors that I had throughout my long academic career. But I'm very grateful for what they do over there, and grateful for what I received from Fresno Pacific. From Fresno Pacific, I was already tied in through the Newman Center with their college group, so as a participant of the college group. And I helped already in a number of different ways. Music is my first love, and that's how I actually fell in love with the Lord, fell in love with our faith, was through music. So I was part of their music ministry already through the Newman Center, and kind of snowballed from there in many different ministries, and then God introduced me to many of the individuals here at the diocese and started being tied in with the diocese level also. When I came in with the Newman Center, I was as a media director. My major was communication with emphasis in multimedia production, and I love everything media. So the Newman Center caters, if no one knows what the Newman Centers are, the Newman Centers caters to the academic fields, mainly to college students. And anybody, a young adult and college age students, were actually all of us now are on media somehow or another.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thank the Newman Center for seeing that strength in me, and I brought in my media media view of how to create a community through those means. From there, I went away for 2 years to no church relation at all in another an agricultural field I went into, actually. And I was thankful for that, because that really opened my eyes to, I knew growing up in the valley, you know how big agriculture is.
Yeah.
But working in the field, I mean, wow, it is something completely different. And I loved the fact that I was able to work directly with the campesinos. I was able to be there for them, and it changes the world when you're able to speak the language with them.
Absolutely.
And that really hit home in a way I did not expect that this job would. To be able to work with them one-on-one. I mean, it was a food safety field, but simply being there and having them understand and explain what is happening, they really are appreciative of somebody just being there for them.
You know, I remember when you did let me know, because we were in touch all that time when you were still at Fresno Pacific, and then when you had those 2 years in agriculture, it seemed like a big change. But I'm so glad to hear that in review, you found it also such a good formation process, because so many of us, we're in church work. So we know church work pretty well. We know the different parishes and the different ministries. But to be in the real world, in business or something that's actually non-churchy, that's where ministry is probably most effective.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad you had that experience.
Yeah, and you know what, it dawned on me later. And I said, you know what, this is where the faith kicks in. I think it's easier for anyone of us working in the church. Well, I shouldn't say easier. It's different. Anyone working in some church ministry, because that's in a way is our calling and our job. Yeah, but it comes into play. I mean, you're at the forefront when you're out there in a different career field. That's where the faith really kicks in. And so really, that it did kick in for me there. I said, how could I bring love into everything that I do? And that's how it was for me. How can I bring love in the fields, you know, in the packing houses and things like that? And really what I found was simply being there, simply having them understand, explaining the process, because a lot of times they don't know exactly the ins and outs of the bigger picture, right? And I help them understand that. And in any work field, in any relationship, there needs to be communication. And when there's understanding on both ends, now we can work together. Now we can work towards a greater goal. And that's, in some areas, I saw that was missing. And I was able to play a little part in that. So I really do thank God for that.
You know, Cornel West, you make me think of him right now. He says, love in public settings is justice. So it's interesting that you mentioned love, but you keep talking about faith. On the 27th of January in our parish bulletin, you were the front page, and you mentioned something that I found a nice way to continue our conversation. I bring to my new adventure 3 things: my faith, my culture, and my family. You've talked a little bit about faith, a little bit about culture, and a little about a family. Tell us more. Tell us more how these 3 principles are what really is at the heart of Edgar. Faith, culture, and family. How do they inform you? How do they determine this new position you're doing?
Yeah.
How is that shown in your new job, your new position, college ministry director?
Yeah, you know, I really put thought to that certain area. I put thought to the whole thing, but I really put thought into those and that sentence there, because I try to get to the sense of who's Edgar, really, and it is exactly that, those 3 things. Simply put, it taught me how to love, and that's how I love, is through those 3 different areas. My faith, that's something I learned to love, yeah? Like I said, understanding, communication. I had to understand my faith. I had to understand our Lord, right? The best to the human capability, and owning my faith, you know. And once I did that, I was able to love a lot more, to understand what what I call divine love is. You know, there's worldly love and then a divine love, and that's really what we try as Christians to reach, this divine love. So the faith there allows me to love and to be loved, which is equally as important.
Absolutely.
My culture, now that's how I love, right? My Hispanic culture, it's never dawned on me that it's something different than others may experience. It's just who I am. And it came out naturally in me in all the things that I do. And not just faith work, I mean, in just who Edgar is, my culture does come out. I'm bilingual, and I see this, it is the new normal. The Spanglish, if you will, right? I'll be talking to my siblings or others that I know immediately that speak Spanish. I can express completely differently. I can start in English and end in Spanish, or a whole sentence in English, and the emphasis of either something that's really lovey-dovey or something that made me angry. There's a lot. Spanish is a lot more colorful, you know, so I have a lot more to pick from. But my culture just comes out, and I take from my culture and introduce to others that maybe don't know this aspect.
Super.
And then my family is where what Pope Francis says, right? The church starts at the family.
Yeah.
And I thank God, now in hindsight, I'm able to see how blessed I was to be in the family that I grew up in and that I'm a part of. Not just the immediate family, but my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, who taught me how to love each other, and the difficulties of loving, you know. And so really looking back on it, I saw it all, the ups and downs. I have an aunt who's a part of the Sisters of the Love of God, who are based in Porterville.
Oh yeah.
And I was young enough to where I don't remember everything completely, but old enough to where I remember her taking her final vows.
Maria Eugenia is related to you?
Maria Eugenia, yeah, that's my aunt. That's my
She
dad's
wrote
sister.
an article that's coming out in the Lenten issue of the Central California Catholic Life, all about her excitement with her students over Catholic relief.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
her work.
fantastic. So I figured there's a lot of Guzmans out there.
There they are.
But when you said an aunt who's an RAD,
Yep.
oh
that's
my
her,
God,
Sister
that
Maria
is
Eugenia.
awesome.
To me, just known as Tia Kena. But yeah, you know, seeing her dedicate her life, and I knew her obviously all my life, but I knew her before the religious call that she had. And so seeing that process really was unique. And
Wow.
And I thought that was normal for a middle school and elementary. It definitely wasn't. But able to see how she dedicated her life to God and to the work. And then I have my parents and my aunts and uncles who serve through the church, who dedicate their lives and their extra time to serving. So I was able to see both these aspects. And I discerned both these aspects, the religious life and the marriage life.
You know, before I knew you, I knew your dad.
Yeah.
Through his
Yes.
music and all his music ministry. So you picked up not only music from him, but this commitment to faith.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank God because I was able to see those examples. And it took me a time, like I said, to realize that that wasn't the normal. And then that made me realize the influence that can have on individuals. I've seen the influence that my aunt has had, and that my parents and all those who help out in the Hispanic ministries in Porterville have had. What kind of support network that is. I said, every single Christian can be that, and we're called to do that. And so that's where I'm at now, serving as campus ministry director.
So now this new position, it's you're just barely starting, but you've already done some really great things. Tell us a little bit about the scope of work that it could mean, and then we'll talk about particular things that you've actually got some images for to share your excitement over projects that are already up and running.
So the good thing is I already knew the Newman Center. I was a part of the Newman Center, involved in the music ministries, the ins and outs, if you will. So stepping into this role I was able to get straight to the job, straight to the ministry aspect of it, the pastoral side, which I was eager to get to. I'm a daydreamer, so I always coming up with ideas. My media mind just never stops. Right? And so coming into the position, I was ready to go. So the college ministries serves the academic field, not just students. That's our main focus, but faculties and staff, you know, and anybody who may be working in any scope of the academic field. We are there to serve them. The Newman Centers can be found in any major university across the globe, attached to a major university, to serve those and to help foster their faith. And that's our main goal there. Really, I kind of had a state of the campus ministry, if you will, early on to kind of express kind of my views and where I was going with them. Really is to create community. That's the first thing that I really wanted to emphasize. We're here to serve each other of any faith. We welcome anybody from any faith. We're here to serve college students and the academic field, period. So, and we have a number of people who are of different denominations, but also of the Muslim faith. They come and they participate, and that's what we're there for, to serve them in any aspect. There's our main event, our Wednesdays, our staple ministry is Wednesday evenings, our campus ministry dinners. We start out with Mass, and then we have our dinner, and then an activity that follows afterwards. And anybody is welcome to join us for any of those parts, so those three parts. And some come for Mass, some just come for the dinner, which is how I got involved, dinner, and then free food. And at the time it was indoor soccer, so I was there for that every month religiously. So they're welcome to join us for any or all of it. Really what I saw that I could create immediately is a sense of community, to open the doors and have them come and just relax. I was a college student not too long ago, and I'm still in the academic field, and I know how the stresses can easily come up and down, the roller coasters of a student, the roller coasters of a professor, right? So we just want them to come and just be in a community together. So we want to challenge them as well in their faith. Many are there to also grow in their faith. So we cover certain topics. The activity usually it could be fun, it could be spiritually, it could be theological, learning about not just our faith, but interfaith aspect of it, because that is the reality of our world. So in their workplaces, in their classrooms, it's interfaith, multicultural. So I want to integrate that as much as possible.
Wow.
So I invite those to come and to share and just to be in community with each other.
Now, one thing we think of is that it's the Newman Center ministry. It's the St. Paul Catholic Newman Center. But your work includes all 4 campuses, and you're mentioning non-Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the outreach that there would be on Wednesday night and also in other activities to the other schools. So which other schools are participating, and why is that working out so easily when a lot of times people are territorial, mm-hmm. and they stay at their school or they stay at their parish?
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. That's very true. And you do come up with that. A lot of people, some college students said, I didn't know we could come because I'm not a part of this parish. The Newman Center is unique in that it has no geographical boundaries. We are an open parish. And obviously we cater to college students. Right now our strongest club, our presence is at Fresno State. But we have now officially this spring semester in 2019, we're an official club at Fresno City.
Nice.
And becoming official clubs at Clovis Community College, as well as Fresno Pacific University,
wow.
my alma mater. We don't see any resistance. Everybody wants us to be there, some type of presence. The extensive ministries at each campuses that is still being set up. But the goal is to have monthly or bi-weekly events at each campus, along with the officers of the clubs to be present there. We see that some universities or some community college don't have an advisor or an example to go off of, and that's where we come in, the Newman Center. Hey, this is what we can do for you. We serve as resources. Fresno City is a very good example because they took it upon themselves to become a club. And their advisor now, who is also plugged in here at the diocese level, it's great because we know how we can work together. Tell us what we need, how can we come out and help you. We're not here if they're college students, they need to be with us and have the Newman name. No, we're here to help, to resources, and to direct us in any way that we can be, to be there for them. And on Wednesday nights and any other activities that we may have, that's where we all can come together. And we want to work with those at Fresno City to host something there. We want to work with those at Clovis Community to host something there. And that's what's in the works there. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be done behind it, but it's being done. One of our recent activities was February 6th, the program, Renaissance Scholars Program through Fresno State. There, that was an easy one to connect with because we talked with a counselor there, and they shared with us what they could do with how we could help them. One of our aspects is a community service, so that was one for us, a low-hanging fruit, if you will, to connect with. That program is a very special program at Fresno State. They serve foster students who have aged out of the foster program, and also homeless students, which is an unfortunate term that exists.
Oh yeah.
That we can, that this drive, this school supply drive that we hosted from the parish was about 3 weeks in the works, and that was an easy one to fill in the gaps. How many of us have pens at home, notebooks, index cards that we aren't using, that we just put together, and we collected those, and on February 6th, Wednesday evening, this was our activity after the dinner, we took all the college groups, the college students that were there, joined forces, and organized all these supplies to hand off to the program. I think Andrea, who was a counselor there, that she came and she shared about the program, what they do, how they serve for many as a resource, and sometimes basically as parents for those in those programs. And we thank them that they came out, and the 2 students that came and shared their stories about their experience through the program. For us, that's social justice right there in the work, right? To helping out, to reaching out. It was, I was happy that we could serve in this aspect, but also how easy it was to serve in this aspect. For us, we just put baskets out, we showed up, and we collected the items. And so that in that evening, we talked about how we could do even more, right? Even more of our time to help these individuals. You could see that it made a huge impact for the program, but also the college students. Many of us had no clue that these programs were there, right? And the different names that they take on. I think at Fresno City and at the community college level, they're called Next Up, I believe that's what it's called. And so this drive was just for Fresno State, but how many other programs are there in the academic field, but also citywide, that we can come in and help in this simple manner?
Joe Pulido is somehow involved with you in this? Yes,
Joe Pulido. He's kind of him, and along with Susie Elauer, Carly Kemble, a few others are kind of my right-hand team right now in helping in setting up volunteers, and especially with the kitchen crew side, because the Newman Parish serves this food, homemade meals, and they bring them every Wednesday for the college students. And so it's quite a team effort to arrange that and to make that happen, and it's great. It's a great service, and Joe Pulido's there. He's also an instructor at Clovis Community, so he's helping us make that connection happen at Clovis. Very thankful for Joe and all the volunteers that make this happen.
You know, it's amazing. You've not been in this new position very long, but it's obviously clear it's a great start. Like you say, you hit the ground running. You already knew the parish. You are the right person for the position. You're following a great tradition, though. There have been other people in your capacity who have done great work. So in a sense, you're in a privileged position of following a great history at the Newman. It really is. So how does that, since you were part of it, what can you speak for how it was feeling you're just joining a thing that's already been there, and now you're keeping it and moving it forward?
Yeah, I've come full circle, if you will. Yeah, from going to once a month for free food and playing soccer to, well, now I'm the director there. You know, it definitely, interestingly enough, I was hesitant in taking the position because before Father Paul Keller, our sacramental priest at the Newman Center, approached me and kind of put the seed in me. When he asked me, I said, no, I definitely don't see myself in this position. And I've never thought of myself in that position. I knew God's calling me to serve in the church in some aspect. And I was involved in media already, so I thought maybe I'd take on more of that prominent role. And I had my media background going at the time too. One of my side endeavors, my side ministry, if you will, is a Catholic Spill. It's my own personal account of my faith journey, of helping the church and media be integrated. And so I had that going with me, and I kind of wanted to tie that in. But when I started praying about this and discerning this role and all the different life changes that came at the end of 2018, it was a pretty boring year up till October, and I got engaged, and then this new position came up,
God,
and
yeah.
Everything started coming in at once.
Wow.
So I really discerned, and I began to pray where God was calling me, and the more I looked into it, the more I thought, you know what, many people see things in me that, and all of us, people see things in us that we don't see in ourselves, and I believe God was calling me for this position. And so coming into it, like you said, I was already part of it. I knew what I wanted to continue, the tradition of, the history of the college ministry program.
I got to tell you, I heard about the hiring, I heard about the process, and I was so excited to hear that you were the choice, because I said that is a fit. And I'm so pleased that you are admitting it also was a bit of a discernment and not a knee-jerk reaction like, oh good, it's a job, I'll take it. It was the opposite, that you really prayed over, there's your faith, and then you saw it as a calling, not a job, it's a ministry. I'm so glad you shared everything you did.
Thank you.
You've got about a minute. Is there a final thought you'd like to wrap up with, Edgar?
Yeah, this campus ministry is very unique and is much needed, and as is all ministry. But this doesn't have to be done at a certain parish. All parishes can take on some type of college ministry. We're there. The Newman Center is just unique that we're called to do that. But our college, we can all relate to the academic field. We can all be there as presence. And simply put, we could create community. And that's simply what we're doing.
You mentioned in your letter of introduction, we're on a journey, we're trying to encounter people. This is what my family has done all along. And this is exactly why we have this program, to feature people like Edgar, who are themselves witnessing by their very lives how they look at social justice, how they bring it in all their work, how they discern a vocation, and how they accept a call. I want to thank Edgar in particular and my own St. Paul Catholic Newman Center for this program. Thank you. Until next time, God bless.